Howdy Groovers, it looks like it's another one of those late night live streams. We've got Orbx developer Jordan Go joining us live, heading back to Southern California. Hang on, here we go.
I sure am, mate. Sure am.
There he is. And just a quick check. I see there is about 20 people watching live. I just want to make sure that you can hear myself and Jordan clearly enough. If we need to make any volume adjustments, do let me know before we get too far in today's stream. So we are in Kern Valley in Southern California. Now, Jordan, when I think your first release, and correct me if I'm wrong, I for some reason, and when I did that first stream, I was calling it Squim Valley, but actually, as it turns out, it's actually Squim. Was that actually your first release?
It sure was. That was my first public release ever, as a matter of fact. So that was now exactly 2 years ago. So I think I've released these two products exactly 2 years apart, which is quite interesting. Yes, it was only about 6 months after I'd released the product that I realised that it was actually Squim Valley and not Sequim. So,
oh, so you had made that. I guess that's an easy mistake to make, huh?
Definitely, definitely, especially when it's a name that I'd never come across before. So naturally, I butcher the pronunciation like I do with everything else. So
now, clearly,
all in good fun.
Judging by your accent, sounds like you're from Oz, from Australia. Is that correct?
That is correct. Yes. Australia.
And where in Australia are you located?
So I live in Melbourne, which is the southernmost mainland city. But right now I'm actually in by the beach in tropical North Queensland on holiday. So I sort of flip between the two cities every now and again. So right now I'm in sunny Townsville, but no, based in Melbourne.
I
both
see.
Beautiful parts of the world.
And so are you pretty much just on holiday celebrating your recent release? Is that what's going on there?
Yeah, recent release, finishing the uni semester, just that sort of thing, just a bit of a general break. So it's good.
So let's get into your foray into flight simulation scenery development, because indeed your first release was Squim. First of all, before we get into why that particular location, how long had you been studying scenery development before you got to that point where you were ready to bring about a commercial release?
So I actually started about the same time as Misha. So we actually kind of started developing alongside each other in, I think it was 2012 or 2013 or something like that. So I'd been playing with sort of AFCAD developments and things like that for about a year, just sort of on and off, and then I realised, hey, this is actually quite a lot of fun. I'm going to see what I can do. So I started making photo reels in small areas and playing with AutoGen and things like that. Then at this point, I was still talking to Misha, and we'd become good friends. And he was like, "Hey, I've just joined the Orbx team." This was after he'd released a couple of
MCA.
Yeah, the MCA Designs project, which he developed, which I was closely tracking the development of, and he was teaching me things that he learned along the way, which was really good. So he was like, "Hey, I've joined the Orbx team. I reckon you should give this a shot as well. It could be a really, really cool thing to get into." And I'm like, "Yeah, this actually sounds like a fairly good idea." So I'd actually sort of chosen Squim Valley before I actually joined the team, or that general area. So this is now fast forwarding to the same time that Misha released. I think it was CQ or whatever that is.
SKU or CQ, right? However you pronounce these names.
And yeah, exactly. And he'd pull that off in 2 weeks, and I'm like, dude, this is insane. I want to be a part of this. This is just too much fun. So I just sort of got in contact with the guys and showed them what I had already, and just got the chance from John, which I'm now ever so grateful for. So it was a pretty unconventional way to get into it, but at the same time, I think diving into the deep end was definitely the best way for me to do it. So I'm really happy with how that's progressed so far.
So how did you sort of, because it sounds like Misha is kind of the person sort of instrumental in sort of bringing you along. How did you two meet each other?
To tell you the truth, I can't remember. It would have been 5 years ago now. I think we met on a Facebook group or something like that, and we just sort of started chatting about things and chatting about scenery development, and then just sort of became good mates. And he came over and stayed with me for several days, and then just sort of taught me, started sort of teaching me the more complex ropes, so to say. So it was, yeah, I'm not going to lie, I cannot remember how we properly first met. So.
And when you first started off, were you straight into 3ds Max, or did you start off into G Max, which is usually the first introduction for many people, where they determine whether or not they can really get into scenery development, or any kind of development for that matter?
Yeah, I did start in G Max. I think I did some very basic stuff, but as soon as it became clear that that Orbx was the way to go for me, I just switched straight to 3ds Max and just started playing with it, started figuring out from there. I think I only really made 2 or 3 things in G Max, aside from the Squim ground poly. I think, yeah, I just sort of made the jump straight away.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember when Squim was first released, I actually didn't really know anything about you as a developer, and I guess that's kind of the funny thing about Orbx is every now and then there'll be an announcement, and this is from developer so-and-so, and, it's sort of all matter of fact. Like it's never introducing new developer. It's just we see there's a new developer, there's a new project, and there's always that first initial wonder, like, how long has this guy been around, or has he ever developed anything? And your work with Squim was actually really well done. And I don't know if you saw the initial live stream that I did on that project, but it's one of those projects that I think is just kind of short and sweet. It's not too big, not too complex. It's kind of it's kind of just the right size, and stopping over from, example, Diamond Point to Siku, which I think was, a nice little midway destination. But I think the real cherry on top of that was the fact that you added in a large portion of the Olympic Peninsula in photoreal, which really sort of helps bridge the gap for those kind of flying further south to like Cushman Meadows and Bowerman and stuff like that. So that was a really nice touch. So you've made it to your second project, which is Kern Valley, which is what we're looking at now. When did this project start?
First off, thanks very much. I'm glad you actually enjoyed Squim Valley. That was a lot of fun. I really, really still enjoy that. Well, Kern Valley actually started at the same time that Misha started Agua Dulce, so this throws back to him again.
Oh, wow.
This project was actually intended to be a bit of a race of sorts. It was going to be a bet on who could finish their product first. Either he finishes Agua Dulce first, or I finish Kern Valley. So I actually started this 1.5 years ago. The development did not take that long. I'll stress that. A lot of real life things got in the way: full-time work, studying, flying, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I started 1.5 years ago now, which is a long time, come to think about it.
And why this particular destination? What attracted you about Kern Valley?
Mainly the terrain. I'd actually seen a couple of YouTube videos, so I got really into watching videos from Southern California, real life flying videos. And there was a couple that I'd seen that had featured Kern Valley Airport and the approach and places like Lake Isabella. And I just thought this is an absolutely sensational place. I reckon this would be a nice touch in flight sim. Had a squiz on Google Earth and had a look at what was going on over there. And I'm like, this actually looks perfect. This looks like a fantastic place. So it was pretty much what it was. And
what was one of your favorite parts about developing this particular scenery?
That sign right there, to tell you the truth, those 2 signs. By far the most enjoyable thing about developing this airport was the massive coverage area. It's about 6 or 7 times the size of Squim Valley's coverage, and just the sheer challenge of first off doing all the autogen for it, but making sure that an airport of this size has massive coverage area and adding little touches here and there for the development, and also the airport modelling itself is always a lot of fun. You know, the wooden cabins and the aircraft on the tee and the signs. It was just overall a lot of fun to do. It was just a really fun project.
Now, there's obviously quite a bit of photo where we're looking at here. Were you able to get some assistance? Because I know Misha had some assistance, and I won't name names, but someone who was able to get on the airfield and take pictures for him. Was it the same case for you, or did you really have to rely heavily on whatever you could find?
No, I was actually really lucky, and that one of the guys that actually is part of the Orbx team had gone and taken photos of the aerodrome. This was actually after I'd started it, but there were actually on-site photos that I could use as a reference, which was extremely handy, and some of the textures are actually based off those photos, sorry. But that definitely helps. That's probably one of the best things about getting photos, is that it just makes it so much more efficient instead of having to create the textures yourself. So yeah, someone did actually take on-site photos for me.
And as a new scenery developer with now 2 payware offerings under your belt, or really just 2 projects in general now under your belt, what would you say is the most difficult thing about scenery development that you've encountered thus far?
Probably finishing a product off, getting it ready to get released to the public, which for me is definitely an anxious time. Probably the most difficult thing overall is actually the selection of the airfield. Trying to choose a place that is going to really strike with people that they can enjoy flying into in several different types of aircraft, and making sure that they've always got something to see. That's for me most likely the hardest part of any project, really.
And based on the 2 projects that you've developed now, how do you envision yourself going forward? Do you see yourself sort of sticking with the same type of scale? Do you see yourself getting into larger projects, going abroad? How do you based on what you've learned thus far, how are you kind of projecting your quote-unquote career in flight simulation scenery development?
To tell you the truth, I'm not 100% sure. I think this scale for airports is probably as far as I'd go. I'm not 100% sure if I could really tackle it. I mean, I'm sure I could tackle something bigger, but I think I do have other plans going abroad and jumping out of America for a while. But at this stage, I can't really comment, because to tell you the truth, I'm not sure as to where I should go next. I'm very tempted to go back to Australia, because I do have projects from Australia that are actually quite far along in the development. But at this stage, no, I'm actually not 100% sure as to where I'm going to go next, but only the future will tell.
Now, a quick note for our viewers, because I did think I mentioned in the initial post that I would include my Bird Dog versus Bird Dog sort of preview as part of the scenery. That's one of the things I've been wanting to get to for a while now. And basically what happened was there's a really nice guy. His name is Ian, I believe, if I remember correctly, and he came up to me at Flight Sim Con, and he mentioned that he was one of the testers and really close with the Black Box team. And so we were chatting for a bit, and then he said, why don't we send you one of our aircraft? Because I'm not a huge fan, to be honest, of Black Box's commercial aircraft range. But they really had gotten my attention with this new sort of GA avenue that they've been moving into, and I hadn't been able to look at any of their aircraft or really have any personal experience. So he did mention that he was going to send one to me, and I forgot which one he said he was going to send, but for some reason I guess I assumed it was the Bird Dog. But in case in point, it was actually the Bulldog. So it's the Bulldog that I actually have here. So I won't be doing, for those watching, I won't be doing the Bird Dog versus Bird Dog preview, but I do have the Bulldog here. So I figured, why not show this one off? I think it's actually a perfect sized aircraft for during the scenery. And not only that, but I think this is the Australian livery, if I'm not mistaken, too. At least I hope it is, which is sort of a nod to you, Jordan. So,
I think it's French because our Air Force has a kangaroo.
oh, that's right. You know what? And I'm looking at the
we've got
flag here
kangaroo.
on the tail now. That's just getting my attention. That's right. The little symbol there looks the same, but that's right. You guys do have a kangaroo on there.
Yeah, we've got the roo.
Okay, let me see here. I'm going to pull up settings. And I'm actually really curious about the Bulldog because... Should I leave the helmet on? There's like a little helmet that comes on there as well. Because, yeah, this is really the first time that I'll be officially kind of taking a look at a black box product. I've never actually streamed or pulled up any of their aircraft, but I can say so far, just based on the modeling and the representation, this actually looks really good. I guess we'll keep the headset on there. This actually looks quite impressive. Wow, I'm actually quite impressed with this. Okay, let's go ahead and hop in. Where is it? Ah, there we go. And I think I actually forgot to set up Trek IR here. So I'm really curious to look at the coverage area. And that was one of the big things that sort of gathered my attention when 29 Palms first released that 29 Palms scenery. My first, sort of thought was, wow, that's kind of in the middle of nowhere, and that's probably going to be a boring in the middle of nowhere desert airport. And then they released it, and it completely blew my mind. And Misha did an excellent job sort of coming up with the perfect, I think, airport to kind of tie into 29 Palms with Agua Dulce. And so now with Kern Valley, it's like now we've sort of have these three really nice, really small airfields, but really nicely detailed and sort of complement each other really well also. So I'm really curious to look at some of the surroundings, because I know with Agua Dulce, one of the things that caught my attention was really the surroundings and the photoreal. And so we can kind of just see that already looking at this really nice photoreal just surrounding the airport as well. It really captures that sort of California feel. Let's see. I think
that's one of the good things about this airfield is that it comes across as being in the middle of middle of nowhere. But I guess by the time you leave the coverage, realistically, you're only about 30 miles, 40 miles from Bakersfield, or 25 miles from Bakersfield. So it's really not that far from civilization, so to say. And it's with Agua Dulce as well. That's kind of what drove me towards the expanded coverage area.
Exactly. I mean, and not only that, but just given how much the SCA region is growing with Catalina Island, and of course you have Palm Springs, and then the stuff that the guys from Turbulent have put together as well. So, I mean, altogether, it's all really stacking up quite nicely.
Yeah, it's a fantastic region, and credit to the guys that actually made the SCA region. It's simply phenomenal.
Have you been to California?
No, I might be coming, hopefully either the end of this year or for the Oshkosh week, or coming to the States for the Oshkosh week next year. So, no, I haven't actually been yet. I'd love to go though, definitely.
Okay, well, you'll definitely have to look me up when you decide to come on down.
Done.
Okay, let's see here. Oh wow, this, hang on a second. Chase plane this thing is really drifting me off the eye position that I want to be on here. This is kind of weird. There we go, I think that's a little bit better. It's weird trying to manage Trek IR and Chase plane at the same time. Okay, so I'm actually, I'm actually looking at this aircraft for the first time myself. I've actually so I had it installed, but I had to register it and everything. So this is really my first time really kind of playing around with it. Let me see, this is a starter. Oh, that's interesting. And I don't actually know if you can hear that engine at all. I know you have your volume down. For the guys watching, can you guys hear the engine sounds at all? Let me see if I can pull this up a little bit more. I can actually barely hear that.
No.
Let's see, okay. I just adjusted the sound again, Boeing, let me know. Yep, okay, perfect. Okay, awesome.
Perfect.
Well, this is actually not bad. Honestly, I think this is probably what Black Box needs to maybe change their business model to. This is actually a pretty nice looking airplane. Let's see, let's fool around with this sound here a little bit. There we go. All right, let's take a look at this coverage area. So far, I mean, just looking at the quality of the airfield here, nice representation of the wood buildings and really nice looking ground poly as well. And you added an open hangar too, which is a good thing.
I'm actually going to give. I have to give all of the ground poly credit to Misha. He did it. It was something that he did kindly for me. So all credit goes to him.
Oh, very nice, Misha. I doubt he's watching now. I think he's buried under exams at the moment, isn't he?
I don't know if I should say that he's living life in New Zealand skiing at the moment. He's well and truly done with exams.
Ah, okay. I have to
Yeah.
reach out and give him a hard time pretty soon then.
Oh, don't worry, I'm doing all the work for you.
So, okay. And as far as the surrounding photoreal as well, did you do all the coloration? Did you have to make many adjustments? Because I'm assuming this is the USGS, correct?
Yeah, most certainly. Yeah, absolutely, I did. And it's USGS.
How much time did you have to spend just making adaptations for the scenery?
In terms of the photoreal, probably the main 80 centimeter, which is the surrounding photoreal, I probably had to spend a good day to day and a half, so probably 12 to 15 hours just playing in Photoshop and trying to see what worked. So yeah, it definitely took a long time, but got there in the end.
Wow, these surroundings look really amazing. It really is the photoreal that does it. I mean, like you said, one of the hardest things is trying to pick an airport. And it's amazing how many developers come to me and they're like, do you have any good ideas? Because I can't think of anything interesting. And, I know a lot of developers will spend just weeks on Google Earth trying to find something that would be interesting for people to explore. And I know a lot of people are really into mega airports and heavy jets, but I mean, it's the scenery like this that you really miss out on when you don't get into GA.
Yeah, and I think as a GA pilot myself, like as a private pilot, I just find that so important to find somewhere that's got nice surroundings. Like when I fly, I don't go flying because the airport's nice. I go flying because the area around the airport is just spectacular, and that's what draws the GA pilots to a certain area. And I think it is the same for flight simmers as well. They definitely enjoy an area that's got the stunning landscape around it.
So I'd imagine when you come to California, you're really going to need to get airborne then.
Oh, most certainly, and I have the intention of converting my Pico over to an FAA and doing some flying over there. So that's definitely an exciting prospect.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look. Very immersive scenery. And what flight simulator are you using at home?
P3D V3 at the moment. I'm going to buy V4 when I get back from holiday, but I'm running exclusively P3D.
And what's your sort of position in terms of the world of P3D? A lot of developers nowadays are really moving in that direction. I think there's a lot of developers that certainly have a core base in FSX, but there's also those developers that have decided to leave FSX behind and really stick with P3D. How do you see yourself in all that?
I most certainly see it as a good idea, to tell you the truth. P3D in terms of just the sheer quality of the environment and the shadows and the cloud shadows and the way that the water works and all that sort of stuff. It really does leave FSX behind in terms of how it looks. I think I do see why people want to stay with FSX because of all their licensing issues, things like that, whatever they may be. But I definitely think going forward that P3D is going to be the way to go. And by the looks of it, version 4 just looks simply incredible. So I think, yeah, I would say that eventually P3D is going to be the primary platform. It's just going to be a bit of inertia getting across. So.
And looking around here, looks like quite a bit of autogen annotating there, huh?
Oh, so much autogen. I think there's about 140,000 trees or 150,000 trees.
Wow.
Somewhere around that ballpark, but I don't really remember. But I'd rather not remember, to tell you the truth. It was a big job, that's for sure. But worth it in the end. All worth it.
Yeah, I think the thing that's really kind of funny here is the fact that, for example, with Agua Dulce, I was sort of aware of it because, it's the famous spot where, a lot of Star Trek and sci-fi films and stuff have been filmed. And I always knew, I didn't know the name of the area was Agua Dulce. I mean, it's funny. I have better geography in, say, Norway than I do in Southern California, to be honest. It's really kind of funny. But so I never knew that there was an airfield there, or much less taken much of an interest until he did that scenery. And so the same thing with Kern Valley. Like, I've never heard of Kern Valley. And the thing is you're developing a scenery in a place, in a country, in a part of a state that you've never visited yourself. And so, you've had to create something without ever having been there. And then there's me, who, this place is probably about a good hour and a half drive from, the Los Angeles metropolitan area. And I've never even heard of the Kern Valley. I never go here. So, I mean, that's the thing that's kind of funny. So I wind up exploring, and I've always said this, I think that flight simulation is, it can be a lot more than just flight simming now. It really can be a medium for people to kind of explore the world, just because of how realistic everything has gotten over the years. And so I've sort of used flight simulation as a medium to, explore all these places that I probably will never visit. Like, for example, the Agadir scenery that was released by FSDG today. I'm working on planning a stream for that one, and it's like, I know that I'll probably never go to Egypt or Morocco, but yet it's really exciting to sort of tour these airports in these regions that are really beautiful. But I never thought that I'd be doing that in my own home state. So that's the whole thing that's kind of funny. I guess it's kind of like it's one of those, I don't want to say bittersweet, but one of those interesting things that I never really seem to expect from flight simulation is to, realize that I'm, exploring places that are really interesting that aren't really all that far. I could very well go to the local airport and hop in a plane and come over, or just drive up here for a weekend or something, but it's like I never think to do that. And the wife was always pestering me for a road trip, and it's like, well, where do we go that we haven't been that's within 2 hours from, out of LA? That would be a nice quick road trip or something. But yeah, kudos to you for really finding an interesting destination.
Yeah, thanks very much. I definitely agree with the exploring thing. I definitely would not have a clue about what's in the USA hadn't I have actually developed over there. I really would not have any idea. So it's really good for that sort of thing. And when you go a little bit more in depth than your usual sort of, your long haul, your 777s and your 747s and that sort of thing, doing the ultra long haul stuff, I think once you jump in smaller aircraft and you're sort of forced to explore on a much more concentrated radius, I think it really does have a really interesting effect of, hang on, this is an hour and a half from my house and I've never been there before. What's going on here?
Right, and probably a little difficult to really admire a scenery like this from 35,000 feet going 500 miles an hour too, I'm sure. So
most certainly.
Just taking a look at those surroundings there. Blending with FTX Southern California. There's actually an update too that was released. I didn't even realize it until I opened up FTX Central when I installed this scenery earlier today.
Dear idea, neither did I. I didn't know about that.
And certainly a lot of contrast for you too between your first and second airports as well.
Yeah, massive contrast. Going an area that cops snow for 7 months a year to an area that's particularly dry, especially at the moment with the drought in California. It's a massive contrast, but contrast is good. I enjoy doing something completely different to where I was before. It was all part of the fun.
Yeah, I think one of my fears with SEA before it was released was that a lot of people would think it was boring because it really lacks that sort of lush greenery that I think everyone's sort of come to know and love, about the PNW and the PFJ regions and stuff like that. And but yeah, I think the feedback has been really quite well. I mean, it's definitely offers something completely different being in these desert regions now, especially with Sedona as a really good key example of just how, the desert can be just as much fun, I think, to explore and fly around as it is in those more Sierra type regions as well.
Yeah, most certainly. And even the case with me, half the reason why I did want to explore this desert from SCA is because with the Australian outback, it's pretty much just flat red rocks for a good 1,000 kilometres in each direction, and somehow you still find enjoyable places to go along that area. With FTX Australia, the red region,
Right.
Desert can be just still spectacular.
So this is the first time I think that anyone, at least for a lot of your fans, have probably ever heard your voice, which I think is a great thing for these live streams, is for people to kind of get to know the developers, the people behind the products a lot better. So who is Jordan Go? What other types of hobbies and stuff are you into?
Well, I guess being a 19-year-old, I've still got a lot of hobbies to discover yet, but realistically, most of my life revolves around aviation. I study aviation management at university. I worked for the airlines last year and private pilot. But other than the aviation industry, I'm pretty much mainly focused on sport. I've represented my country in certain sports and still actively involved in health and fitness and in the sports industry in general. So that's probably my biggest other hobby.
And I just realized, sorry, I've been pronouncing your last name Go. It's actually Gough.
Yes, that's
sorry about that.
Yeah, same as Alex, but just with half the talent. That's all.
Yeah, I've been known to butcher people's names, just like Colin from TFDI. Every now and then I'll call him Colin just to piss him off. But
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mispronounced Misha's name until about 6 months ago, and I've known him for 5 years, so you're not alone in that one.
How were you pronouncing me? His last name or his first name?
His last name.
Yeah, the last name is that's a tough one.
Yeah, it is a tough one. But he's dealt with it, so.
Yeah, he's used to it. He's like, when I first asked him, how do I pronounce your last name? And he goes, just say it however it looks like it sounds. That's fine. I'm just used to it.
Yeah, that was a big mistake when he told me to do that. Big mistake.
Another thing that I'm really also liking about this airport, too, is this is kind of a tight approach with all this terrain in here.
It is, definitely. And especially when you start bringing larger aircraft in, especially from the south. I mean, I've done trials. I'm not ashamed to say where I've brought the FS Labs A320, tried to land it there, and that hill on the south side of the runway can be a little bit of a pain when you're trying to line yourself up. So it's good being in a valley. I think it definitely makes it a little bit more tricky, which adds to the appeal of the area.
Absolutely. Wow. A320 on here. You're having a go.
It worked, so yeah, it worked. So all the people out, all the fuel out, you can get it in.
Oh yeah, bring it in at a good 120 knots, super light, full flaps.
Exactly right.
And just let it float. Wow, you really do get up close and personal to these mountains here.
I think it's even better to watch in real life as well, because the published approach procedures get you very, very close, because you're supposed to be doing noise abatement from the town of Kernville. Apparently, I've read you actually can't overfly the town, so you're supposed to pretty much overfly, a couple of 100 feet above the mountains, which in the real life videos makes it very interesting to watch, and especially the circuit, the right-hand circuit for the runway you're actually approaching now. You've got those hills just there on the right, which pretty much, if you do a standard circuit where you've got the runway 3/4 of the way up the strut, you're pretty much running into those mountains. So it definitely makes it quite interesting.
Yeah, I actually hadn't pulled up the approach charts for this airport just yet.
Yeah, I don't think there are any. I think it's pretty much just on the airfield website as a fly neighbourly sort of thing, which is, and just from reading around certain forums as well. So there's a fair bit of information out there.
So the noise abatement procedures, those are not actually on the published charts?
No, I actually found them on the website when I was first doing my research.
So,
and,
I wonder how.
I don't know if you.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure if they have like what we have in Australia, which is a directory of all the airports and information regarding them. But it may be in one of those. But as far as my research would go, there was nothing on those sorts of noise abatement things, except on the website.
Very interesting. I wonder if, because I know most pilots, they'll just rely on whatever their charts are if they want to do a touch and go or pay a little visit.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, this is one of the most interesting things about this airfield, because once we get to the very end of the runway, the airport is over there, but we've got to turn around and go all the way back.
Yeah. I'm not sure why they just haven't decided to pave from that end and just pave it straight across, but I guess we'll never know.
Exactly. That's kind of interesting. Well, I have to say, I am actually quite impressed with this Bulldog. They did an excellent job on this, and the flight dynamics are quite good as well. So I definitely have to say, I think Black Box has found a new niche that they definitely should continue to pursue. This is an excellent little airplane. There we go, a little turn off there. Actually, there's like a little park over there that I actually haven't looked at yet. Let's do a quick taxi down here real quick.
Yeah, that's the campground. So you can actually, I think it's for $10 a night or something like that. You can actually book and set up a tent, and there's a barbecue over there, and sort of just, it's where they have a lot of fly-ins and stuff. So that's a pretty nice touch for the airfield to allow that sort of thing to happen. You don't get that much anywhere really anymore.
And speaking of Jordans, Jordan King is actually here. Who actually, as it turns out, I wasn't going to mention his name earlier, but he was actually the one who did all the photography for Agua Dulce.
Okay.
So he's watching. He's asking if this is Kern. Yes, it is. So with
Sure
Jordan
is, mate.
Gough.
It sure is. It certainly is Kern Valley.
This nice little green area over here. I see. I guess this would be probably the more transient parking area, I suppose, for people who want to camp out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so if you're going to camp out, you have to camp out this way. Sorry, you have to park your aircraft out this way if you're going to be staying overnight.
Nice little barbecue over there. It's funny, too. I was just arguing with a reader over that. I think, I don't remember what post it was. Someone was like, oh, you get all impressed with these little airports. And I said, yeah, absolutely. If I can't watch the guy flipping the burger in the terminal from the flight deck, it's a piece of junk airport. So I said, at least with Orbx, we get barbecues.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be kind of nice if he wasn't burning his steak or whatever he was doing, but
Exactly.
nonetheless, he should maybe stop watching planes and start actually watching his burgers.
There we go. Yeah, I'd definitely be burning burgers, that's for sure. And Bear Body's here. How's it going, buddy? And Captain there in the chat is saying he wished someone would actually start looking into doing New York upstate airports. Well, I imagine. I mean, I don't know what Alex Gough is working on. I know he did the 2 airports on the East Coast so far. I'm not sure if that's... Where did he... Oh, no, he's going to New Zealand. That's right. So I'm not sure if anyone's really thinking about doing East Coast airports or not. It's a good question. I think
I'm sure someone's going to go eventually.
Yeah, probably. I think the key is
Alex has gone there.
Yeah, I think the key is like you said, is really finding a scenery that's going to be really interesting for pilots. I mean, once you get to the East Coast, it's mostly flat, and so at least with the 2 airports that Alex has done, and then of course you have Bill Womack's Nantucket. I mean, you really, it's like there's not all that many. It sort of becomes almost like England, in a sense where there's definitely a lot of very interesting and fascinating aerodromes, but in terms of the flying experience, you don't really get all the terrain, which I think GA pilots tend to like, especially in flight simulation.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I think it'd be really good to see some freeware come out of that region. Something like what the Orbx group does, where they have all the airfields covered in virtually the entire country of Australia. They're not necessarily the most spectacular destinations, but it'd be good to see sort of the the West Coast be, I guess, covered by something that's at least available to the public. It would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. One of these days, I'm going to do a full Onslaught Australia live stream, so that because that's one of the things I've never done is actually I've never streamed anything in Australia other than Fly Tampa Sydney. So that's definitely something that I should start looking into in the near future. It's interesting.
There's some fantastic things that I'm seeing on the Orbx forums that are on their way. They look absolutely fantastic. So I think revisiting Australia would be awesome fun.
It's funny too. I was just on Orbx last night downloading liveries, and I was actually looking. Yeah, I was actually looking at some of the freeware stuff. They've got a lot of really great stuff on that website. A lot of hidden gems. Certainly. And it's not just for Australia too. I should add too. They've got stuff for just about almost everywhere on there, especially PNW and stuff as well.
Yeah, they do, which is also really good.
Well, here we are in a nutshell. I don't know if there's much in terms of night lighting to show, is there?
No, so it's a daylight hours airport only. So there's pretty much no night lighting whatsoever, except for just sort of your street lights and things like that. So there's really not much to see at night at this place. No runway lights or anything like that, being a day only, so...
Yeah, it really is super dark at night. Yeah, you're right.
Jordan coming and saying Australia's my favourite place to fly. I have to agree with you there, mate. Definitely agree with you there.
Yeah, well, my thing here is I have a few. I think I've got Broome installed, and I think one or two on the East Coast, but I've just completely run out of disk space. So, yeah, I've run out of space, so it's like I can't get all the Australian stuff in there. So my next step is because I think Orbx has gotten most, if not all of them, ready for prepared version 4, if I remember correctly. So
I'm not 100% sure on that one, but yeah, they'll be all ready. Yeah, quite soon. They'll be all ready to go. So
yeah, so that'll be my next step. I think is to get that. Once I get my new 1.5 terabyte hard drive for P3D V4, then I'll really be able to start getting into Australia, which I'm really excited about. Well, Jordan, this has been kind of fun and getting to know you a bit.
no worries. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure.
And, I think you've done a fantastic job here. I mean, again, what really, and in fact, let me see if can I zoom out here a bit. I think that this is pretty much it right here. When I saw it in those screenshots, I think it was like kind of right in here. Once I saw that screenshot with the sort of the rocky, hilly terrain in the background with the trees and the buildings, I was like, oh yeah, this is going to be a good one. So, yeah, I mean, kudos on, I think, a really interesting choice, destination, and of course adding to a lot of the destinations in the Southern California region. I mean, this airfield is quite, actually the scenery is quite a bit bigger, or is it, than Squim? It is, right? Because I know you had a large coverage area in Squim, but the airfield itself was a bit smaller. But in scale, is this overall bigger?
Yeah, it is. So aside from the mountain photoreel, the Olympic mountain photoreel from Squim, it's about 5 or 6 times the size in terms. I think Squim was about 75. Oh, not 5 or 6 times the size. Probably about 3 times the size or 4 times the size. It's most certainly bigger, but it was around fairly. Once you add the Olympic photoreel from Squim, I think they compare to being about the same size. So.
I see. And one of the things that Jordan King is commenting as well is he says it looks just like Southern California. You did well, which I have to agree. It definitely does.
Which, as a non-local, definitely makes me feel quite happy about that, because it was one of the biggest things is that never being there in real life and only going off photos, it was definitely a challenge to try and actually know what the area looks like.
Right, absolutely.
Because there's a stark difference between how it appears in the simulator and how it appears, in real life. So it was a massive challenge to try and get that feel going.
Well, I think you've done an excellent job, and whatever you decide to move on to next, I'm definitely looking forward to it. You've done an excellent job.
Thanks very much, and most certainly I'll keep you updated on everything that happens. I think might be a visit to Australia next up, I'd say, with the Orbx boys, but we'll see how we go. We'll see what happens from here on in.
Well, that'll certainly make a lot of people happy, because I've been hearing some of the complaints from some of the Australian groups saying, when are we going to start getting some more Orbx stuff?
They're starting to feel a little bit left out, that's for sure. But
yeah,
no, it's with everything. I will say, with everything that the Orbx guys are doing, there's going to be a massive, how should I describe it? A massive release, in a way, of a significant quantity of airstrips that, from what I've been seeing, look absolutely incredible. They look really good. So once Australia gets back under, I can't wait to see Australia sort of resurge again, because it's not being biased or anything as a local, but it's by far one of the most exciting places to fly.
Wow. Well, yeah. Well, that's two people. Both Jordans are basically saying that. So, I'll definitely have to start keeping my eye on Orbx as well when that drops, or when those airfields start to drop, because I think that's going to be pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, it'll be really good. So.
And anything else that you just kind of like people to know about the scenery, or you in particular, before we sign off?
Not really. Although I would like to apologise. The fact it's been 2 years between releases from me, but with real life getting away and everything like that. Yeah, 2 years since I released Squim Valley, which actually took the same time frame. So No, not really anything else to say. Unless you've got any more questions, I'd be happy to answer some of them if you've got any more questions.
No, I think that's pretty much it, unless anyone in the chat has any other questions. Again, I think you've done an excellent job. I know that you're on holiday now after finally completing your hard work and getting out of exams and everything. So definitely appreciate you coming on and taking the time to hang out with us and letting us get to know you a little bit better. And I definitely look forward to what you are going to deliver for us in the future. I guess before we sign off, I should probably head over really quickly to the Orbx website, just in case, so that for people who, let's see, who may not exactly be aware.
Looks like no questions coming through in the chat, so that's perfect.
Let's see, let me restart that way. So we have that nice screenshot there with the airfield and everything in the background. And so about 24 AUD. I don't know what that is in USD. So it's about
24.95. 24.95 Australian dollars. I've got no idea how that converts to other currencies, but yeah, it's a light release, so it's not a full price, which is I think fitting.
Yeah, especially with the size of the coverage area and everything. Well, excellent job, Jordan, and
Thank you.
yeah, congratulations on your second release, and we look forward to what you're going to bring around next time around.
No worries. Thanks. Absolute pleasure. Thanks very much for having me on tonight, mate. It was real good fun. Very good fun. Aside from the Skype issues, which
God, I cannot figure out Skype anymore. It's like I don't even know if it's even worth ever using ever again. I don't know. It's such a pain in the butt. I
haven't used it for 2 years, and when I booted it up tonight, I was like, what is going on here? So it was a bit of a. At least we got TeamSpeak working, so that's the main thing, eh?
Yeah, that's right. Actually, as a matter of fact, I should definitely give a shout out to Digital Theme Park. For always being around for us to be able to conduct these things too. So excellent stuff.
Champions. Absolute legends.
And okay, so other than that, also for you guys watching, the next couple of streams coming up is going to be the Agadir scenery that was released today. So that's top of my list, as well as what's that other airport? What is the name of that airport?
Is it Bilbao, which the finals were released about. I think MZ released his final shot. MZ released his final shots about 2 hours ago, 2.5 hours ago. So that's coming up soon.
Oh, so it very well could be that one. That's right. It very well could be that. So a combination, between that, Agadir and Billingham. Is it not Billingham? What is it? What is that doggone airport that's just north of Seattle?
Bellingham.
Bellingham.
No, that was released, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's taken me a long time to get around to that one too. I finally barely just picked that one up as well. And Captain's asking about Javitsky NYC. I'm actually wondering if I should wait until Seattle's release and then do all the city previews in one bang. Still trying to figure that one out. Airports V2. I don't know. I guess it depends on when he releases. So I'm going to try to knock out everything that's released this month before the end of the month, so we'll see what happens. But anyway, definitely, as always, stay tuned to airdailyx.net for all your daily news and information. Until then, everyone, thanks for tuning in, and also special thanks to Jordan Gough. Let me make sure I say that right, because I've been saying go. I mean, don't get me wrong, you are an artist here, as we can obviously see. But special thanks to Jordan Gough for joining us, and we'll see you all for the next live stream. Take care, everybody.